All right, it's now 2:37. A few minutes ago, I got a reply from AronRa. I think he's probably 8 p.m. or so in Texas. I'm at 2:37 in Netherlands. But he's like, yeah, okay, let's do it or whatever. So it's a little bit too late for that. You can see my battery is under, what is my battery at? It's like 8% now. Anyway, I don't have the battery power, and it's too late to continue for this debate or interview or whatever it is he wants to do on Google Hangouts. Let's see. I just want to read his reply. Maybe I can make one more point, because we did have a good conversation. Rob Tebow and I did have a good conversation tonight. So I wanted to touch up on that. Oh, well, I thought that he had replied. 33 minutes ago, I gave him my contact info. I swear he replied, but now I can't find it. Anyway, maybe another time. Maybe I got 4 kids. I'm traveling. I'm pretty busy. So me nailing down a time like, okay, I can do it this day at this time, really doesn't work for me. Like I could have done it tonight, hours ago. I've been offering for the last 14 hours. Actually, it's been about 18 hours. I've been replying, and we've been going back and forth on this. And he hasn't accepted. I mean, he's replied, but he hasn't accepted until just like an hour ago. So anyway, I'll have to catch up at another time. But Rob Tebow and I had this good conversation, and I may have enough battery power to document this. I wanted to document what religion is, because AronRa disagrees with the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary's definition of religion. So this guy, Rob Tebow, says, the subject matter is world religions, and you're using a context by which nothing can be excluded as religion. This context has no bearing on the subject. Be sensible. AronRa is a good source of hard data, but his own strict use of words, especially in argumentation, often makes it difficult to have discourse with him. But at least the context he uses are relevant. Atheism is as much of a religion as clipping toenails. Atheism doesn't require any atheist to hold any positive belief or perform any action. The only thing atheism says is, I don't believe in the existence of any gods, nothing more. Creation, let's see, 66 Rabid Monkey says, creationists also like to falsely equate science as religion, saying it's faith-based. Well, some of it is. Definitely abiogenesis is. Anyway, I replied to Rob Tebow. I said, it's the atheist word salad that many of these evangelistic atheists hide behind when they have a weak argument. Watching AronRa versus John Mark Reynolds was painful. They would spend 10 to 20 minutes defining a word. When they came to a consensus, Mr. Reynolds would say, okay, great, so we agree. And AronRa would say, no, I don't think we do. It's impossible to have discussions with an atheist who hides behind a word salad like this, where they say, the dictionary defines this word as fill in the blank, but then they refuse to agree on a standard definition of other words. Maddening. Let's see, Rob Tebow says, I can agree, AronRa is great for presenting hard evidence, debunking specific claims, or supporting scientific explanation. Every time I see him divert to a presentation that is more philosophical, his strict, rigid adherence to one context at the expense of recognizing the other context often makes his argumentation semantic and ineffectual. A lot of people on both sides have this problem. That's not good for communication. Why make the same mistake? So I said, why make the same mistake? I attempted to meet him in the middle. Partly why the dictionary was brought up is because AronRa often relies on it, which is evident in almost every conversation that he has. But he replied to my video with over 10 dictionary definitions of religion. The only way to really avoid this with Aaron is to not have the conversation to begin with. I said 20 years ago, I would sit in a coffee shop for hours having similar conversations with similar results. I think I basically grew up at Denny's restaurant in Provo, Utah from the age of 14 onwards. This type of back and forth exchange could go on for 8 hours at a time. I truly enjoyed it, while my girlfriend or whoever I was with would practically fall asleep sitting there and listening. But now, with my busy schedule, 4 young children, and traveling around the world, I really don't have 2 hours to get the root of a definition that both parties can agree on. So why did I entertain AronRa in this exchange? Well, first of all, he called me a liar and said everything that you said about me was a lie. So I guess maybe I was trying to be polite and explain to him where I was coming from. I certainly do not enjoy lying about someone or even being mistaken as lying about someone. I think lying is hideous. But the more I discussed this with AronRa, it seemed like he was being insincere and just attempting to enrage the conversation a bit. I stand by everything I have said in regards to Aron, and I did my best to explain why I think the way I do about AronRa and his claims. Reference this. And I'll put these links in the description. So, but I won't continue to make that mistake. I really don't have that kind of time on my hands. People like John Mark Reynolds do philosophy for a living, so for him, this is just what he does. But for me, I have other interests, such as right now I'm making a documentary on Brexit. Spending days, weeks, or months on atheism just isn't very interesting to me. Rob Tebow says, Clovistar, it seemed to me that this video was intended to see, now my phone is dying. I don't have too much more time. Anyway, he says, it seemed to me that this video was just intended to butt heads on semantics rather than agree. It's like the atheist YouTuber Ozzy has been presenting about agnostic atheism, saying that the use of terms together is inconsistent because agnosticism is a lack of knowledge and atheism is a lack of belief, suggesting that, anyway, and I agree with that, by the way, suggesting that agnostic atheists must not know if they lack belief, rather than acknowledging the context of agnosticism is used to describe the position. Let's see. Guess what? The purpose of dialogue for people who are that bullheaded on the specific context. I'm not atheist, with the caveat that when I talk with most people, I'm referring to gods in a different valid context. It's not going to change the way I think. So yeah, I'm going to look at a valid, relevant context for what other people say and make it known what my casual context where my casual context differs. I can say, yeah, atheism is a religion as much as wearing socks under your shoes is a religion. In that context, we have nowhere to go and are avoiding the actual topic rather than addressing it in any meaningful way. Well, that's not true. I mean, like the definition of the dictionary points out, it's, a system of, rigorous devotion and such. And I think these people who are very devoted to atheism fit that definition of religion. It goes on to a little bit more of the description, but that's part of it. Anyway, I go to this reply to him. So when I say atheism is a religion, I don't mean to be vague as in your explanation of how some say you're God or something similar. Nor do I think all Christians or theists are religious. In that they don't subscribe to a religion, not all of them anyway. I don't. I said, nor do I believe all theists are religious, or atheists, and nor do I believe that all atheists are religious. What I'm saying is that people like AronRa, who do the following: 1, subscribe to and belong to atheist organizations. 2, participate in group fellowship with people in their organization. 3, participate in outreach to convert others, aka evangelism. 4, have tenets of beliefs that are strictly adhered to. This is obvious in his beliefs in such things that can't be proven, like abiogenesis and other such similar beliefs that they hold dear to and defend. If it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Maybe AronRa isn't religious about his atheism, but from what I can tell, his ism is much like other isms and is clearly defined by most respects as a religion. I gave context into what isms are, some of these isms, and that's a video for that. Anyway, I said I can give you another example of how I don't believe that one always leads to the other. For example, my political philosophy is mostly libertarian. However, I don't belong to any libertarian organizations. I don't speak on behalf of any libertarian orgs. I don't register with a political party for voting. Yet most of my political beliefs would be libertarian in nature, but I don't subscribe to libertarianism. It's the ism, the organization, the subscription, and adherence that makes it a system or a religion. And Rob Tebow says, Clovistar, all you have to do is look at how much stuff is arbitrarily added onto the definition of atheism to see which contexts are applicable and relevant. Yeah, AronRa is religious in how he personally practices atheism. At the same time, he is not religious in his personal practices are not acknowledgement of ultimate reality or specifically deity. which context is more relevant to the conversation? Someone asks you what your religion is. I really doubt you're going to say, I'm libertarian, or I brush my teeth twice a day, right? Well, actually, in some of the videos that I've made in the past, like 10 years ago, I made a bunch of videos when YouTube first started, started doing their service. I have YouTube videos at youtube.com/SLU, the number 2 COM. And I point out many times that, yes, I believe in creation. I believe in Jesus as a role model, and it's something I adhere to as his teachings. But I consider myself in a religion. I don't subscribe to a religion. I never rejoined a religion after I removed my name from the Mormon Church records. I mean, you can see I've got all kinds of religious symbols on me. For example, I've got this druid pentacle here, and I've got like a Bible scripture here, and I've got like an earth magic tattoo over here. I mean, I've got lots of different faith traditions tattooed on me, but I don't subscribe to any organization. So I wouldn't say, if somebody asked me what my religion is, I would say I don't have one. Maybe I have a belief, but I don't believe that belief is a religion. Let's see, but maybe they define it differently than me. Anyway, let's go back into this. I quoted him, and I said, well, this is really the ultimate point here. Despite that I have theist beliefs, and AronRa does not, I do agree with him that religion is destructive. But I don't think that just theistic religion is destructive. I look at things like the League of Militant Atheists, or you can find it by looking up the League of Belligerent Atheists from World War II, and some of these New Age atheists as being just as destructive to society as perhaps the Catholic Church has been, and still is in many ways. I think this, quote, groupthink that I define as religion, it's the groupthink that I define as religion, and it's the groupthink that I believe is destructive. AronRa is not against religion, despite what he may say. That is my point. He is fully in favor of his own religion, but he is against all other forms of religion. This is similar to how AronRa was raised as Mormon. The quote, LDS is the only true church. That's what they say. Or no true Scotsman would, that kind of thing. AronRa seems to believe no critical thinker would ever believe, fill in the blank, unquote. Anyway, these groupthink orgs and systems of belief is the real problem in society that hinders critical thinking and stifles advancing liberty and other positive human traits. That's just my opinion, but that's what the debate started as and why the religion topic became important. And then Rob Tebow says, well, two things. The context you use shifts from a personally